TikTok. You've seen it, you've heard of it, and you've probably fallen down the rabbit hole of watching it for hours on end. If you're anything like me, then you also probably had your jaw drop at some of these food hacks that people are coming up with. But today, we're not just talking about any food hacks. No. We're talking about cereal. People are now taking their favorite desserts and turning them into tiny, itty, little bitty pieces of cereal. Today, we're testing out not one, not two, but 3 of these viral TikTok cereal recipes to see if we can truly cerealize them. To add another layer of difficulty, we're going to veganize all of them because, well, I'm vegan and that's what we do here. So first up, we have a little mini cookie cereal, which kind of reminds me of the Cookie Crisp that I used to eat as a kid growing up, which is basically just the cookies and milk in a bowl. I mean, who doesn't love that? So I'm looking at this TikTok right now and it looks like they just get like a package of Nestle Toll House chocolate chip cookies and like chop them all up into small little pieces, roll them into the little bitty like bite-sized things and put them in the oven and then bake them and put them in a bowl with some milk. Sounds easy enough. Since we're veganizing this, I'm gonna make it a little bit healthier, a little more whole food plant-based. I'm gonna make my chickpea cookie dough recipe, and I'm also gonna probably add some cornstarch to make it a little bit thicker and a little bit more crisp. And I'm doing it in the air fryer because that makes it even more crisp. To make our cookie dough from scratch, we will first need 1 can of drained and rinsed chickpeas, and we're gonna put that in a food processor. We're gonna move on and get 1/4 cup of oats, 1/4 cup of gluten-free flour. We're testing this out, y'all. I'm not sure how this is gonna go, but we're gonna try it. Maybe like 1 to 2 tablespoons of cornstarch because we need this to be thick and get crispy. All right, so then I'm gonna add about 1/4 cup of nut butter. You can add any kind that you want. I'm using almond butter today. All right, and then we're gonna use 1/4 cup of maple syrup to add some sweetness. So usually right here, I'd add about 2 tablespoons of unsweetened applesauce, but I don't want too much moisture in these cookies, so we're skipping that today. We're gonna go with 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Now we're just gonna sprinkle in some salt. Now we're adding 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Then we've got 1/8 teaspoon of almond extract. And now we just blend it all together. All right, so you see how nice and thick this is? I'm so glad that I did not use the applesauce and I added more cornstarch. Now we gotta add in the mini chocolate chips. And this is where you sprinkle in as many chocolate chips as you want. You're definitely gonna want the mini chocolate chips because you're making little mini cookies, because you don't want like the big chocolate chips, because then there's gonna be like 1 big chocolate chip in your little bitty cookie rather than like 3 or 4 or 5 or a million mini chocolate chips in 1 little bitty cookie. All right, so we got our chocolate chips in here. And we're just gonna mix it all together. And if you notice, oh my goodness, I need more chocolate chips. Then you know what? Add more. This is where it's like, I just wanna eat this and not bake it. This is a good cookie dough. Okay, so now I'm just transferring this into a glass bowl so that I can put it in the freezer to firm it up so that it'll be easier to work with and it's not all sticky all over my hands. So I just took my chickpea cookie dough out of the freezer and now I'm going to roll it into tiny little bitty balls and place them in the air fryer basket with parchment paper on them. So now for these little bitty cookies, we're gonna smash them down flat because with this recipe, if you don't smash them, they're not really going to flatten on their own. And now they can go in the air fryer. I'm gonna put them at 370 for about 5 to 7 minutes, and I'll obviously have to do multiple batches. All right, so this is the first batch, and I ended up doing them at 370 in the air fryer for about 10 to 13 minutes, and this way they are like super crisp, and now I'm just gonna let them cool to crisp up and harden even more, and I'm gonna continue with the rest of the batches. We got our cookies in the bowl, so I'm gonna get my almond milk, unsweetened vanilla, my favorite. Ooh, they like just sound nice and crisp. They're so good. It's like, you know how you dip cookies in milk? That's literally what this is. Next up, we've got mini pancake cereal. I'm super excited about this one because who doesn't love pancakes? All right, let's take a look. Okay, so it looks like they have this little squirt bottle full of pancake mix, and they just dot little dots of the pancakes and then let the bubbles come up and then kind of like scoot it around. Then they top it with butter and maple syrup. Now I did see another one put milk on it, so maybe we'll try it both ways. So I am just going to use this gluten-free pancake mix. We tried to search like 12 different grocery stores for a vegan gluten-free pancake mix that was like just add water, but we couldn't find that. So this is gonna have to do because all of the ingredients are vegan, which is Wonderful. Okay, so first it says to use 1 tablespoon of the egg replacer, 2 tablespoons of water, and whisk it together and then let it sit to thicken for a minute. So now I'm using a tablespoon of vegan butter. And now once you have it in your bowl, you're just gonna melt it in the microwave. Now that the butter is melted, I'm adding 2/3 of a cup of unsweetened almond milk. Now we can add in the vegan egg replacer. Whisk all the wet ingredients together until nice and combined. Now we can add in a cup of the gluten-free pancake mix and whisk that together. Now I got my handy dandy griddle and I'm going to preheat it to 350 degrees so that it can get nice and hot. Okay, so the TikTok video that I watched had these little like bottles that you just squirt the pancakes on with, so that's what we're using. Now it is time to put the pancakes on the griddle and bake them into the little bitty mini pancakes so that we can put them into cereal. So I guess since these are like gluten-free and vegan, it's really hard to see like the air bubbles, but like I can see tiny little bubbles and some of them are starting to pop. So I think we can start to like kind of flip them. Okay, you know what? Okay, this is hard. Oh, there we go. Okay, wow, this is a lot harder than TikTok makes it look, y'all. Oh my gosh, look how cute these are. And we have our pancakes in the little bowl. And I'm just gonna use maple syrup. I guess you could put like vegan butter on them if you want. So I'm trying it with just syrup first and then we'll pour the milk and try it. Okay, so I just syrup. These are really good. They just taste like cute little baby pancakes. I'm a little more skeptical about this. We'll see how it goes. It's kind of soggy. I honestly don't hate it. Like if you're one of those people who really can't stand like the soggy texture, do not try it with milk. Next up, we have a little mini brownie cereal, and this trend doesn't seem to be quite as popular as the cookie trend and the pancake trend. It still looks super good because, I mean, who doesn't love brownies and milk? This recipe, it literally just looks like she's just using her own brownie recipe, which is what we're doing today. So we're gonna use my sweet potato brownie recipe that's literally... So the first thing you need for your sweet potato brownies is, well, obviously a sweet potato, and you definitely want to roast your sweet potato in the oven. Yes, it's gonna take a lot longer, but it's going to be a million times better than putting it in the microwave. I promise you that, or even just steaming it. So I roasted mine last night, so that's why it looks so lovely right now. And I already took the skin off, but I'm using one whole, like, pretty big sweet potato. It's about a cup or so. We're good. Next, we're just gonna head over to the stove and make like a nice chocolate mixture, like chocolate sauce to go into the brownies, which is super good. So we use a 1/3 cup of nut butter and then a 1/3 cup of like unsweetened chocolate chips, but I forgot to get my unsweetened chocolate chips at the store the other day. So we're just gonna use 2 tablespoons of baking cocoa with the nut butter and add in some almond milk and melt that together for our chocolate sauce, and it'll be just fine, I promise. When your chocolate sauce is done, you can just set it to the side until you need to put it in the blender with all the other ingredients. Now we're moving on to a 1/4 cup of oat flour. Then we need a 1/4 cup of gluten-free flour. Then you're gonna need 1/2 cup of cocoa powder, baking cocoa. Now we need a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. We've got 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Then we need 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. All right, now we're gonna pour in our chocolate sauce. As you can see, mine's really thick. And now we blend. All right, so I actually decided that I'm gonna add in a little bit more oat flour and a little bit more gluten-free flour just to thicken this up a little bit more. Okay, so I'm gonna add chopped pecans because I always do that for this recipe and I love the flavor it brings. And now it's time for my favorite part, adding in the chocolate chips. I'm using mini chocolate chips again, and time to mix it all together so that everything is nice and even. Now that our batter is done and uniform with the chocolate chips and optional pecans, you're gonna put it in a Pyrex dish. Usually I put mine in like the, I think 9x9 size. I thought today maybe I should try doing a bigger pan. Then you're just going to spread it out on your parchment paper. We want it nice and even. So once it's spread out, put it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. Okay, so the brownie is done and it has cooled, so I had it in the oven at 350 for about 30 to 35 minutes it ended up being. So now we can chop it into small little pieces for our cereal. These turned out perfect. Wow. All right, now we have our cute little baby cubes of brownie in the bowl. And so we're just gonna pour in the milk and see how it tastes. Okay. I would prefer to just keep these as brownies and not brownie cereal. Not a huge fan. Just keep these as brownies, people. So if you liked this video and you're looking for some more vegan dessert type recipes, you're definitely gonna wanna check out this video right here where I create 4 different vegan dessert recipes made out of chickpeas. So go ahead and give it a click and I'll see you in the next video.